I remember going through life without having the feeling that I belonged. I was bullied. I was abandoned. I was called too sensitive, too overdramatic. For the longest time, I remember looking at the stars and having that feeling that there's so much more and that I belong somewhere out of there, right? Like, just take me away. For the longest time, I felt that I needed to adjust myself to fit the mold other people wanted me to. Society told me that I had to be kind, that I had to be pretty, and especially to be quiet. A woman is meant to be seen and not heard. I tried to fit the mold that my stepfather wanted me to be. I tried to fit the mold in the school system. I tried to learn, which I I can learn, but only in my own way. I'm not that much of an exceller in school. I never was. And those traits really messed me up because I was so lost in my own way. I saw everyone around me and I was like, but you can do it so easy. Like, you make it look so easy. What is wrong with me that I can't live my life like I supposed to be living my life? And it's funny because if you're living your life, in my case, I lived my life adjusting to others. I lived my life for others. I was always the one who never turned anyone away. I'm always there for everyone. It doesn't matter the time. I'm here. If you want to talk, I'm here. I have food. I have everything that you need. I can give you a shoulder to cry on. I can give you a best friend. I can open doors for you. I can give you insights. I can be critical to you if you need it to. But in that process, I've forgot how to turn up for myself. You see, if when I lived my life trying to adjust myself to the image of other people, I really lacked setting boundaries. I didn't even know what boundaries were. And it's funny because someone told me um 2 years ago, I think, someone told me like you come across as if you can set your boundaries. And that gave me time. That made me self-reflect, right? The boundaries that I couldn't set were the boundaries that I never learned. My stepfather, for example, when I cried, he made me cry, and then I cried, and then it was like, "Oh, you're overreacting. You're too sensitive, and how can you cry? It's not. It's weak. It's a sign of weakness that you cry." So I learned that the things that I needed, the love and support that I deserve, first of all, they were conditional because if I did this, or if I did that, then I could get this or that in the way of healthy attachment and attention from especially my stepfather. So I learned how to adjust in order to be worthy of love. And not only that, because in my healings journey, I came to recognize that I've carried a lot of envy, and not in the kind of envy that I was like, I'm going to destroy you and sabotage you, but I was in the position to be envy in the way that it was internalized, right? Like, I was envy at the house buying or the baby news that other people had, which were and and in the meantime, I was struggling so much to just find normal friends around me. In adjusting, there's a lot of power, but there are also a lot of shadow sides. I learned to adjust myself so far that I didn't even knew who I was myself. And that process was a long and hard way for me. However, I came to learn that adjustment isn't something that's asked of me. I started my healing journey, and when I was healed enough, I got back to school. I did an education again, and they all were telling me, like, "Oh, you're so good at this," and it comes like a natural thing. And I felt very much like an imposter, but there I had the freedom to develop myself and to get to learn my ways in the world. After that, I got to work. I got a job and I was very proud of it. This was my first job. And I thought, like, oh, finally, I am succeeding in life the way I need to be succeeding. The universe had different plans for me because what I didn't see then and what I can recognize now is that my energy isn't made for adjustments. I am not made for adjustments. I am always the one who is good with everyone. I leave you be. The way you treat me, that's the way I treat you. And for a lot of people, that's triggering. I live out authentically. I live from my heart. I live from the frequency of my heart. And I came to recognize that a lot of people who are still in those shadow sides, who don't get to face their own pain, they are walking away from it, or they just don't see another way out, one or one reason or the other. When I adjust myself to society, I am betraying myself because I know that I'm not made for society. I always know, I've always knew I wasn't meant for society. I always stand out. I was always the black sheep, the outcast, the problem child, right? But what if the problem child isn't here to create problems, but just to speak out the truths that no one dares to face?